Hey, what's up guys? My name is Venard Scott and you're watching another edition of Killakraneproductions. If you guys haven't heard already, the very first Killer Crane Productions book is out. It's called BlackJack the BeanStalk. I had a friend ask me a question recently, and they were like, why did you create BlackJack the BeanStalk as your first book? Because you guys got to understand, some time ago I created a short film series here on YouTube. It was called The Legend of Ghoma-roi. And I created about 3 episodes of this series, and then I had to quit for reasons like, financial reasons and scheduling conflicts and things of this nature. So I told everybody I was going to create a book detailing the events of The Legend of Ghoma-roi as a whole. However, I decided to make a book on BlackJack the BeanStalk first, and there were 2 main reasons that led to my decision on this. Number 1, the story of The Legend of Ghoma-roi it's a bit complex. I've added a few more characters than the ones that are shown in the 3 episodes that I've done. There's a lot of plot twists, and there's just a lot going on. And it was going to take me at least another 6 months to a year before I'm done with it. So I thought for my first book to start off with something, a little simpler, something that I could finish quicker, and, something that can give me, being this would be my first book, I need something to just get my feet wet and get me kind of familiar with the writing process. Second reason is BlackJack the BeanStalk is actually the first story that I ever wrote. I remember I first started writing it when I was about 15 or 16, something like that. I remember being sick home from school, and I was flipping through channels, and at that time, I don't know, about 95 or something like that, there was nothing on but like daytime soap operas and probably The Price is Right. And so I was flipping through channels trying to find something else interesting. And the most entertaining thing that I could find was a cartoon series on, I believe it was called Grimm's Fairy Tales. And on this series, as the name implies, it just told a bunch of fairy tales that we've heard a million times over before. And I noticed one fairy tale they weren't telling about was Jack and the Beanstalk, and that probably because it has nothing to do with Grimm's Fairy Tales, but still, that story kind of popped in my head at that time. So since I've heard that story a million times before, I started thinking to myself, I was like, how can I make that story interesting? And I was thinking, what would a modern day adaptation of this movie or this story actually be like? And the first movie that popped in my head was the movie The Wiz. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have seen this movie before. It had Michael Jackson as a Scarecrow. It had, Diana Ross as Dorothy. And it was an all African-American cast. So I thought to myself, I was like, well, what if Jack and the Beanstalk had a modern day adaptation and an all African-American cast, kind of like The Wiz? So I started playing around with the name. I was like, Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack and the Beanstalk. And how can I make this sound a little hip? Then I thought about a friend of mine that I had at the time. His name was BlackJack. And I was like, this sounds kind of hip and cool. BlackJack the BeanStalk. Now, this story has actually gone through several revisions throughout my life. Originally, I wanted this to be a movie, but honestly, growing up, I had very derogatory outlooks toward my chances of being a film producer. So mostly I would just daydream up ideas of how this story would go and who I cast in each role. Now, originally, this story was going to be like totally outrageous, ridiculous comedy, very satirish in nature. It had almost no depth to the story. It was just relied on heavily in jokes and comedy. I mean, there's still some elements of those things in the book right now, but it wasn't what turned out right now was not as silly as I had it before. But as time went on, I started adding, scenarios from real life situation and other struggles people have gone through and other struggles that I've went through in my personal life. Now, this book is now available on Amazon. The link to this book is in the description below. I'm also already working on my second book. All I can tell you guys is it's about a planet of cats, their religion, and their relationship with other beings on this planet. No humans whatsoever, but other beings on this planet. It has elements of racism. It has elements of classism, socialism, all of these good things. So be looking out for that in the near future. If you guys have any questions, of course, you can leave a comment in the section below, or you guys can email me at info@killakraneproductions.com or killakraneproductions@gmail.com. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you guys can get updates of future videos, books, and other projects I have going on. Thanks, guys.